Warm greetings from the high 10s, Everyday Shenanigans. Thanks for joining me. This is a continuing topic, monkeypox, misdiagnosis. Yesterday I went live pertaining to the subject matter, is it God's wrath? That was the title of my video last night. This is my third installment pertaining to this disease that has now touched down American soil. I will play you commentary pertaining to the findings of this disease. Also know that polio has been found in wastewaters in New York, Rockland and Orange County. And I misspoke by saying it was 6 people. I had said 6 people have been found with monkeypox in Memphis, but I do not know how many people have it up on the East Coast with the polio, but it seems to be riding on the back of monkeypox. It hasn't been around since about 20 years, they say. They thought it was gone, but now one man has been diagnosed with polio, an adult man in his 20s. I'll bring you some information about that as well. Thank you for joining me. I will drop the link after I play all audio. ABC News is the source.
He is issuing new guidance on safer sex and also on social gatherings as the agency reports more than 7,500 cases of monkeypox nationwide. The CDC is also investigating an identified case of polio in Rockland County, New York. ABC News medical contributor and physician at Stanford Children's Health, Dr. Alok Patel, joins me live now for more on all of this. Dr. Patel, this new monkeypox guidance is really focused on avoiding physical contact with monkeypox patients. So if someone does contract monkeypox, how long does it take for you to see symptoms, and should you isolate?
Now, simply put, Diane, this is all based on an estimate. This could vary, but what the CDC estimates is that the incubation period, meaning how quickly symptoms will pop up after an exposure, could be anywhere between 5 to 21 days. Then you may have those early symptoms of fatigue, fever, headache, swollen lymph nodes for about a few days, and then that rash, that telltale rash, should pop up. Now, here's the hard part. That rash could last for up to 2 to 4 weeks, which is a period of time when people are contagious. So that's a long period of time for people to potentially have to isolate. So it comes down to seeing a healthcare professional if you have a new rash, especially if you have anyone who may be in contact with you who had monkeypox or associated symptoms.
Now, the World Health Organization recently recommended that men who have sex with men limit their number of sexual partners. But the CDC is trying to reduce the stigma surrounding monkeypox, reiterating that anyone can get it. Why is reducing stigma so important to public health, and how do you balance ensuring that the most at-risk groups are well informed without marginalizing them?
Then reducing stigma is paramount because scapegoating only leads to shame, stereotyping, and is nothing productive for public health. We have to learn from history. We saw scapegoating with the Spanish flu, with SARS, with MERS, with HIV when it was first called gay-related infectious disease, and with COVID-19 when it was labeled as the Chinese virus or Kung flu. What that leads to is shaming people not wanting to seek care, and then also indirectly other people thinking that they're not affected because they're not in the specific demographic who is most at risk. So it comes down to the balance of reminding people that monkeypox is a human virus, but right now there is a group who is most at risk where resources and awareness should be directed. It has to be a bimodal approach.
Now, the CDC is also investigating this new case of polio in Rockland County, New York. The New York Health Department says that it has seen 7 different wastewater samples with polio in that same area. So how worried should we be about this? What's the context here?
This is a symptom of a massively grave problem, Diane. We have not had our first case of polio originating in the United States since 1979. The last foreign case, 2013. So what this tells us right now is that we are not done with these viruses, these infections that could be prevented from vaccination. In Rockland County, the estimated polio vaccination rate for kids age 2 is about 60%. We need at least 80% for herd immunity. If we see a spread of polio, it could be absolutely devastating for the thousands of kids in the United States and worldwide who are not protected. We don't want to go back to the late 40s or early 50s when thousands and thousands of kids were left paralyzed from a disease that should be eradicated.
Now, August, ironically, is also Vaccine Awareness Month. So what should parents know about childhood vaccines? Has anything changed?
Simply put, parents should know that the reason that they may not have heard of or be as familiar with diseases such as diphtheria, Haemophilus influenza B, polio, pneumococcal meningitis is because vaccines work. And they've done an incredible job at preventing these diseases. The CDC estimates that for children born in the last 20 years, childhood vaccines will prevent 21 million hospitalizations and 730,000 deaths. And with vaccination rates slightly dipping right now because of hesitancy in the pandemic, we're at risk for seeing some of these diseases reemerge. Diane, I'll quickly tell you, at the March for Science in New York City, I was holding a sign about polio not being around anymore, and a woman approached me and told me a story about when she was in school in the 50s, the fear she felt when her classmates would leave because they were sick and not come back or come back paralyzed, and the hope the country felt when the polio vaccine came out in 1955. Those are feelings that we don't want to see again because we want to keep the diseases away. So make sure everyone out there asks the questions and gets their children vaccinated.
All right, Dr. Patel, we appreciate it as always. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, ABC News is the source. Let's chop up what was said during this commentary. The rash can show up in the human body 5 days after exposure. Or is it 2 to 4 weeks of the rash? Let me get this right. 2 to 4 weeks rash show up after exposure. Anyone can get it. Why were gay men at risk originally? That is really the number one question pertaining to this virus. 7 different wastewaters found with polio in the wastewaters in New York. Last case here in the United States was 2013. It popped up originally in 1979 before 2013. So you're talking about almost 20 years. No one has claimed to have had polio. And as I said, there is a 20-something-year-old male adult with it, not a child, because obviously people may believe this disease is only affects children, polio. Where are these diseases coming from? Because as they said in this commentary, 2013 is a long time not to have anyone diagnosed with polio. So how did it resurface? Why was it found in wastewater in New York? 7 samples. That's a lot. Will people get vaccinated for polio, monkeypox? And will people also get vaccinated, get their children vaccinated for both polio, monkeypox? Hello, Terry. Thank you for joining me. Many people don't get their children vaccinated. A lot of people don't vaccinate for religious reasons. But we live in a world where obviously the vaccinations work. That's the reason why you haven't seen these diseases pop up, such as polio. It's because people got vaccinated as children over the years. And some people don't believe in vaccinating. That is your choice not to vaccinate yourself or your child. But as you see, polio has reoccurred. So why not? Why not preserve life? What is wrong with preserving life? That's a said commentary. But this is bad. Monkeypox came on the scene in May, and now you have polio riding on its back, being found in wastewaters in New York, Rockland and Orange County, New York. And a man from Rockland, I do believe it's Rockland, has been diagnosed with polio. I will bring you that said information as well pertaining to that young man. But so far, no other cases have been documented. Thank you for joining me this Everyday Shenanigans. If you'd like to donate to this great channel, $sign the Ganji, 129 Cash App. ABC News was my first source. Let's see what else we have on the Rolodex. In the headline news, we have heard that Ann Hesh has been wrecked a car in California, going at great speeds down a pedestrian road neighborhood. She's hospitalized with serious burns. Was she drunk, inebriated? We're going to bring you that content as well. Travis McMichael has gotten a life sentence for a hate crime against Ahmaud Arbery. He fatally shot Ahmaud Arbery, and he gets a second life in prison sentence for committing a federal hate crime. Court TV is the source for that said information. We have information also from CNN pertaining to Dr. Fauci saying he wasn't aware of the monkeypox stigma, which that doesn't make any sense to me. It sounds crazy as hell. But anyway, that's just crazy to me. I also have news from News Nation on my community board, where just a month ago, there was 170 confirmed cases of monkeypox. 1 month ago. Don't you find it interesting that we're now at 7,500 cases of monkeypox versus 170 confirmed by CDC? I also have that confirmed on my community page. Let's get someone's testimony pertaining to having it. Fox 10 Phoenix is the source. A man details his monkeypox diagnosis as cases rise in the country. Thank you for joining me. Fox 10 is the source. Hello, Mary. Thank you all for joining me. 41 viewing. Amen. God is good.
Has been difficult. Fox 10's Marissa Sarbag spoke to a Valley man who's battling monkeypox. She talks about all the issues that come with it. Marissa.
Linda, quite a few issues come along with it. And right now, that man is in isolation in his house. He actually did an interview with us via Zoom just so he could explain what he's feeling. He said fever, chills, all accompany that rash that he was expecting to see. But at first, he wasn't sure what he was noticing. And he said, pay attention to those symptoms because they can be different for everybody.
I woke up Sunday morning and my lip was just completely swollen. And on the top of it was a little white spot and it was oozing stuff.
Later that day, he went to the hospital, not sure what was wrong. After CT scans and other tests, they finally decided to test him for monkeypox.
They asked me if I was a homosexual and if I had been out of the country recently, which I am a homosexual, but I haven't been out of the country.
By Monday, he got the results. Positive for a disease now labeled a public health emergency by the Biden administration.
Having doctors tell you that they don't know about this is scary. Because what am I supposed to do? And I didn't even get any pain medications for this until Friday.
He's been in self-induced isolation, waiting to get the antiviral medication that he likely won't see until Monday, marking exactly 1 week since his diagnosis. He's called the Maricopa County Department of Health, his primary care physician, and the CDC trying to move this forward, feeling like he's had to fight the medical community the entire way.
It's not like they see monkeypox or have seen it earlier in their career. So there's a learning curve for clinicians to start being able to effectively recognize what the rash looks like.
Will Humble with the Arizona Public Health Association says there are only 3 labs that can even test for monkeypox in the state of Arizona. And the Arizona Department of Health Services doesn't require cases to be reported, meaning we don't actually have an accurate reading.
It puts Arizona at a disadvantage when it comes to competing with other states for the limited supply of vaccine that's out.
And while most infected are recovering, there are situations where that's not the case, making access to the vaccine or the antiviral medication crucial to stopping the spread.
It's not technically a sexually transmitted infection the way, say, chlamydia or syphilis or something like that is, but the direct, intimate skin-to-skin contact that happens during sex spreads this virus.
While many of the cases we're seeing are spread through sexual contact, health professionals say you can actually get it through prolonged skin-to-skin contact with anyone who is currently infected. Reporting live in Phoenix, Marissa Sarbach for Fox 10 News.
Fox 10 is the source, Phoenix. Nobody's curious to why this was only diagnosed with gay men. Anybody can get it, so they say. Prolonged skin contact, even if you're not having sexual relations. This doctor speaks of it not being like chlamydia and other venereal diseases, but yet you can get it from having sex or touching someone's skin who's been infected. How many doctors will be able to diagnose this off the bat? And as this doctor says, many have not had any, don't have the experience pertaining to monkeypox, so they may not know what it is or be able to diagnose it properly. That's going to be a problem for somebody going in and they've got a sore here, a lump there, and the doctor doesn't even know what it is exactly. May have heard of monkeypox, but doesn't have the official capacity to diagnose the monkeypox, which is going to be a problem. Now, count the people who are not going to give a damn and not go to the damn doctor. The men who are going to walk around, whether they are gay, heterosexual, whichsoever, bisexual, whichsoever, decide, well, I got a couple sores on my mouth, no big deal. Got a cold sore. Oops, I got a bunch of cold sores. I'll just wing it. But then next thing you know, it's 5 days, it's 2 weeks, it's 3 weeks, 4 weeks. You still got sores on your mouth. Now you got sores on your fingers, your hands, your arms, your legs, your torso, your feet. You still don't give a damn. Hello, Scholar. Thank you for joining me. See, this is what happens when you have no control over anything. You're just lying in wait like a duck, sitting duck out of water. Because now you have to rely on somebody to be responsible, whether it's your mate, somebody you just met, friend, family, foe, whomever, to go to the doctor and get checked. So you don't want us to have a stigma of who can get it. Don't ostracize the gay people, gay men for getting it, but yet they're the ones who initially had it. I'm going to keep asking this question. How, and why? Why were gay men the ones to have it? But yet this doctor says, well, it's not a sexual STI such as chlamydia, but yet you can get it from having sex. And then say you can get it from just looking at someone. Skin-to-skin contact, that's bad enough. Prolonged skin-to-skin. So that means what? Rubbing your body on top of another human, rubbing your arms, your legs on top of another human's legs, and they're infected, open sores, which we know most people probably not going to want to touch you if they see you have an open sore on your body. It's skin-to-skin and sexually transmitted, both. Also through saliva, which is kissing. So we already know if you're using drugs and sharing needles, you're going to transmit it that way too. Once again, why were homosexual men the only ones who were diagnosed with this? Nobody finds that strange? Is this God's wrath? Put a yes or no in the chat if you believe this is the wrath of God. He's making us pay for our sins. Stay woke. Yes or no in the chat. I'll take a count later. As I said, will doctors be able to diagnose this properly to get you adequate care? How are people going to have relationships now that don't use condoms? People will maybe be scared now, or maybe not. They didn't care about diseases before. It's just another little nasty little virus that can clear up. I got 3 yeses. Sarah, what are you talking about? You don't get it. You don't get what? What is it that you don't get? Mama says no. Everybody in the chat, please pay attention. If someone is infected with the monkeypox, whether you can see it or not, you can get it. You're talking about 1 month of having it at least. So they may not show any symptoms. There are people, they say, who will go asymptomatic. That means no symptoms, but they got it. And those are the ones you're going to be worried about. First day, you want to kiss a person, you're attracted to him or her, you want to kiss them. Well, CDC says don't kiss. No kissing. So this is going to be a problem for people dating, people who like each other. You can't kiss anybody now. Because my God, if you can't even kiss, you're in bad shape. Because we had learned many moons ago that you couldn't catch HIV/AIDS from kissing. Now we got monkeypox, who's a little bit brazen, and he says, gotcha. I'm going to give it to you through saliva. This is bad. This is really bad. Wearing other people's clothes that are infected with monkeypox, you can catch it through wearing their clothes. Please listen to the information I'm bringing to you. Kissing, prolonged touching of body, skin to skin. Sexual activity, anal sex, penis to vagina, you can get monkeypox. And respiratory droplets, prolonged conversation, one-on-one, 3 hours sitting close proximity to someone in conversation, you can get monkeypox. Thank you all for joining me. Fox 10 Phoenix was the source for that last information. That was one guy's testimony about having monkeypox. All right, everybody. Trying to give you the latest information in the queue pertaining to this virus that now everybody's can catch. Let's talk to Mr. Dr. Fauci, what he has to say. This content was uploaded 3 days ago. He says he was unaware of the stigma. Now, Fauci, come on now. You're a little too old for this. You should know better than that. It's about 7 minutes long, so kick back, kick your shoes off, relax. CNN is the source. Thank you so much for joining me.
U.S. case was detected. The Biden administration is now declaring monkeypox a public health emergency. Joining me now, the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, Dr. Anthony Fauci. Dr. Fauci, good to see you today. So the WHO, of course, declared a global health emergency almost 2 weeks ago. A half dozen or so states and cities declared a health emergency in the past week in the United States. What took the federal government so long?
You know, Eric, I don't think it took so long because a lot of the things that were being implemented anyway without the declaration. The declaration, what it does is it expedites a lot of the things that might bureaucratically or logistically get in the way of moving things smoothly. For example, here at the NIH, when we do review of projects and grants and contracts, it cuts through some of the paperwork. But I think for my own self, from my strong relationship with the community, I think it's important as, you know, there are some practical reasons and advantages to it, but it also, I think, is really a symbolic signal that all hands are on deck on this, and we're taking this very, very seriously. And as you know, several things came very closely related to each other. One, the declaration of a public health emergency, but also the appointment of a White House coordinator for monkeypox, Bob Fenton, and the deputy coordinator, Dimitri Daskalakis, who has got an extensive experience, particularly in dealing at the community level. So all of those things, I think, took, a few days to get together in a sequential manner. But I believe right now that all things are running smoothly. We just got to make sure that we get the countermeasures in the forms of diagnostics, therapeutics, and vaccines expeditiously to the people who need them as quickly as possible. That's really the critical issue.
So then let's start on those, right? So let's look at diagnostics. Testing is an issue. It is getting better. There was CNN, though, reporting from this week, which found technicians at two of the nation's largest commercial labs have actually been refusing to draw blood from patients who might have monkeypox. And that is understandably raising some new concerns about the stigma potentially surrounding the disease. Take a quick listen, if you would.
The fact that this is happening is an echo of the earliest days of HIV. We, I thought, had come a lot further. This is a grave dereliction of duty.
And now LabCorp's president of diagnostics told CNN last week that the virus is, quote, new, saying nobody knew what it was. Some nurses and doctors are scared of it. Some of our phlebotomists have been scared appropriately of it, as if the company's working on a new policy. Was there a missed opportunity, though, here for the CDC on messaging if we have doctors and lab technicians who are saying they're scared of this virus?
Well, to be frank with you, Erica, I'm not sure what the communication was between the CDC and the companies. I'm sure that they took into account and communicated what needs to be done. But given that there is this issue that you brought up, and it's an understandable issue, we certainly got to take care of it immediately, because you don't want any of that inkling of stigma that the person that you just had on the film there, there's a very good point there. We don't want that to creep into what should be a smooth and expeditious response to getting people diagnosed. So if it is an issue, it should be taken care of immediately. I was unaware of it. Now that you bring it up, that person is absolutely justified in being concerned that we can't smoothly get diagnostic tests done because of any degree of concern. If there is a concern, then the proper personal protective equipment needs to be made available for the people who are drawing the blood.
But I mean, can you ever, I think the hard part too for a lot of people to wrap their heads around will be somebody in this day and age when we know so much, refusing to even take a blood sample.
I find that unacceptable. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, everybody knows how I feel about that. I mean, I take care of people who have these diseases, so I know exactly what one needs to do and not to do to be able to give them the proper care that they deserve.
Let's take a look at vaccines too, because as we know, there's been an issue with vaccines, vaccine shortage. The FDA is now considering splitting doses to stretch that supply. Do you agree with that approach?
Oh, yes. I think if you can show, and there are studies that do show that if you administer it in a different way, for example, intradermal versus subcutaneous, that you can get a comparable response at maybe 1/5 of the dose. So obviously you have to go through the appropriate tests to show. Studies have been reported from 2015 when we were doing the dilutional studies, not only with a dilutional dose of the sub-Q, but also with a different modality of administration. So I think it's something worth pursuing. Whether they actually are going to be able to do that, I'll leave that up to the FDA. But to approach that as an alternative way, I very much am in favor of.
I also want to get your take. Listen, it has been a tough 2.5 years, I think, for you on a number of levels. A West Virginia man was sentenced yesterday to 3 years in federal prison after he sent threatening emails, threatening to kill you, members of your family, because
Good
of your
Lord. How'd you pull this in
I'm
here?
curious your reaction to that sentence.
Well, I mean, I believe that law enforcement did what law enforcement was supposed to do. I don't really want to make any comment about that particular individual, but I mean, obviously and unfortunately, other health officials, me, because I'm such a very visible person, have received everything from harassments of myself, my family, and my children, which is the thing that bothers me the most. But what you heard about the person getting arrested was a credible death threat to me and my family. So that is illegal to do that. The proper approach was taken by law enforcement authorities, and the person has been sentenced. So that's all I can say about that, Eric.
Dr. Anthony Fauci, good to have you with us this afternoon. Thank you.
CNN is the source. Reporter talking to Dr. Fauci. He said he didn't realize the stigma pertaining to monkeypox. Well, he knows now. Let's talk about what he was discussing here. Splitting the doses. He said it's worth pursuing. Basically in favor of it. This is a reasoning to stretch the supply. Do you all agree with stretching the doses? Are we to rely on their knowledge that it's okay to split the monkeypox dose into 2? They also discussed blood being drawn from anyone with monkeypox. Yes, I think you should draw their blood. Why would you not? They have a damn disease. So you're not going to be able to learn anything by just looking at them and saying, oh, yeah, I think you got monkeypox. Here are you some painkillers. Now you go on home and sit at home for 4 weeks. Yes, their blood needs to be drawn. So you can see everything you need to see inside of the blood work. Then you also need to get back with them after the healing process to see how they're doing, to look at the scabs. Maybe test their blood again to see what's inside of their blood works. So I can't see anybody being diagnosed with monkeypox and not having their blood drawn. I don't know what physician or lab tech wouldn't think to draw blood. This is crazy. I'm starting to wonder who the hell's in charge up here. Thank you all so much for joining me. I think it should be one vaccine instead of splitting it. Well, my thing is you're going to have to do 2 because it's 2 vaccines, sweetheart, that you have to take 2 times in 14 days apart. So it's a 2-dose vaccination, 14 days apart. As far as the issue with the trying on clothes, let me say this one more time to those in the chat. If someone is infected with the monkeypox, you cannot wear his or her clothes. You don't need to be around them, talking to them, in their house, in their bed, having sex with them, touching them, kissing them. If they go into a store and try on clothes and they are infected, I would assume it is the same as if they were wearing their own damn clothes. We're not going to know until somebody says they think somebody had monkeypox and tried on something, and somebody caught monkeypox from trying on a skirt or dress at the store. Dear God, I can't. Ooh. Wow, this is sickening to me, because this is just absolutely out of control. Yes, don't be around them. Somebody tells you they got monkeypox, you have nothing to talk about with them. Talk to them on the phone. Don't go in their house. Don't use their products. Don't sip out their cup after them. Don't pass a blunt with them. Don't do nothing. Wait till they heal up. Wait till you get more information as far as the healing time. Because that's why I asked the question yesterday during my live. Will this person also be a carrier even after the wounds heal? What's the prognosis on that? This is dangerous stuff out here. All right, I brought you information from various sources. Let's go 2 days ago. Monkeypox, what is it? Who it affects and what you can do to protect yourself. MSNBC is my next source. Thank you all for joining me. I will drop the link shortly. So please be respectful to the hostess in the chat. Please do not come up here with background noise, pets, animals in the background, because I would like for everyone to hear what you have to say thoroughly during this live. And please do not enter into my box naked, as some idiot tried to do last night, attempted to. We don't play those type of games over here at Everyday Shenanigans. Thank you all so much for joining me.
7,000 confirmed cases in the U.S. in less than 3 months. And now President Biden has declared it a public health emergency. And despite what you may have heard, listen, people, this is not a gay disease. It's a virus that can affect anyone, even you. So listen up just for a few minutes. You've got questions. I know I've got questions. And we've got the woman with some answers. Dr. Chris Purnell, our favorite public health physician, is back with us. Chris, I'm so happy to see you. Girl, I've got all the questions for you. First, I just want to ask, what exactly is monkeypox? And how did it get here? Why are we dealing with this? It feels like we're living in the end of days.
Morning, Tiffany. So great to be with you today. Monkeypox belongs to a family of viruses. Another type that's very similar to it is smallpox. It's an infection and an outbreak that we characteristically have not seen in the United States. Those outbreaks have been located in regions of Africa, but it doesn't mean that it cannot move across the globe as we are now seeing. There can be transmission from human to human, as well as there has been some transmission from humans and animals. What we're facing right now does feel like a Twilight Zone scenario, but I think the most important thing for all of us to take away from this is the need for public health preparedness in this nation, because once again, we were too slow getting out of the gate.
Wow, that's scary.
What you said about COVID last 2 years ago.
Disinformation and misinformation that's been floating around out there. For starters, I just find that reaction very interesting. I know in my orbit, because you know, COVID could literally kill you, especially before there was a vaccine, and people are willing to risk it all. But when you talk about monkeypox and some pimples on my face, wait, time out. How do we get ahead of this? So I think there's a vanity component to people really not wanting to get this. How exactly is monkeypox spread?
So monkeypox is spread by direct physical contact, either with someone who is actively infected or contact with bedding, contact with clothing, contact with an object. We call that fomite transmission of a person who has been infected. Monkeypox can be spread through respiratory droplets, but we do not have clear scientific evidence that monkeypox is spread by aerosols, meaning that it is an airborne infection. So the best way for people to continue to protect themselves is to think about whom you're having direct physical contact with, skin to skin contact, hugging, kissing, cuddling, massaging, and inclusive of sex, all types of sex, oral sex, anal sex, vaginal sex. And so it's really important, as you mentioned, that we don't stigmatize one group, but that we recognize where risk has congregated in which communities, and that we get information out to those people. So no, it is not just men who have sex with men or people who identify as gay who are susceptible to monkeypox. If you have that prolonged skin-to-skin direct contact with someone who is infected, you too could actually get monkeypox.
Now, after, COVID hit us, I have stopped handshaking. It's very awkward when people come and try to shake your hand, but now you're saying hugging. I would always prefer a hug over a handshake. But when you just said hugging, it's like, I've just got to walk around in a hazmat suit and stop touching people. What are the tips for not getting this disease? Like just some tips that we can all follow. And should we all be rushing out to get the vaccine?
Okay, let's start with the vaccine. No, we all should not be rushing out to get the vaccine, but the vaccine should be more readily available. When you think about the vaccine, it's one of your most powerful tools in your prevention toolkit. Right now in the United States, we're using Misdiagnosis, and that vaccine is a 2-dose vaccine that is right now most eligible for those who have the highest risk category. And the persons in the highest risk category are people who have sex with people of the same sexual orientation. So typically in the United States, we've seen cases predominantly in men who have sex with men, but it doesn't mean that other people are not susceptible. Children have gotten monkeypox because if you live with someone who is infected,
Amen.
you have that direct human to human transmission. Otherwise, do those things to keep yourself safe. Use your hand hygiene. Just know and have conversations with any of your intimate partners. Know and have conversations with anyone who may be having an illness, and do those things that we know are good infection prevention best practices.
All right, well, that's really good advice. Last question before we go. Monkeypox, can you die from monkeypox? Or if you can't, are there long-term effects of monkeypox that can impact your life forever?
Monkeypox is rarely fatal. It doesn't mean that if a person is severely immunocompromised or has a host of chronic health conditions that might put them at higher risk, that they can have severe complications. We have not had any reported deaths in the United States yet, but there have been a handful of deaths of monkeypox across the globe. So I don't want to minimize those experiences, unfortunately, that we've seen globally. But I do want people to know monkeypox is not COVID, but still we have to make sure that we get the most accurate information out to people, and that testing is readily available. Vaccines are available for those who are at highest risk, as well as treatment for those who are infected.
MSNBC is the source. Let's chop up what this lady has had to say. Monkeypox has been found in children. Anyone can get this disease. Yes, it has been found in homosexual men here in the United States. But anyone, straight, gay, bisexual, transgender, child, pets, I'm robbing from another source, but pets has also been mentioned in the other commentary. Okay? Trying on their clothes, wearing their clothes, and they're infected. You can get monkeypox. Close proximity by talking, long-winded, face-to-face, respiratory droplets. You can get monkeypox. Can you die from this disease? She says it is rarely fatal, but if you have other issues, health issues, naturally, when you become sick with anything, it can complicate the other health issues you have with the new virus disease that you have contracted. Yes, this disease was first found in homosexual men here in the United States. Naturally, there are different strains of this virus. It is not fatal thus far, but can be and has been in other locales outside of the United States. This is why you have to pay attention to the information that's being relayed to you, as not to put out false information. But anything can happen because, one, it's a disease that's not been readily running around, so they're going to have to do their resource. Tennessee Rose, what are you talking about? Here y'all go. Hit the link if you want to join this discussion. Please be respectful in your content. I'm going to play one more source, and then you all can join us up here, and we can chop up all the information played in this audio. If you like to go back to the beginning of this live, all sources are revealed in this commentary, and everything I've mentioned has a source via the YouTube queue and my community board. My last video is going to be, let's see. I've already played ABC News. Let's see if there's anything else I want to play. I've just brought you MSNBC on who can get it, how you can protect yourself, what it is. I've also played you one guy's testimony pertaining to how he came to get it. I brought you information from CNN pertaining to Dr. Fauci not being aware of the stigma. And there's also information I didn't play by News Nation. It was from a month ago. That's just to tell you that 1 month ago, we only had 170 confirmed cases. Now we're at 7,500. Wow. Additional risk factors such as poor health. Okay, let me see if I played News Nation. I might play them one more time. Let's play News Nation. Life with monkeypox. You feel very alone in this. News Nation Prime is the source. This content was uploaded 1 day ago. Thank you for joining me. Thank you, Mary.
The first woman in Georgia to be diagnosed with monkeypox, she believes she got it at work.
It was crazy. I was like, what is wrong with me?
So now she's telling it.
Camille Seaton says it was like a scene from a movie when doctors wearing protective suits told her she had monkeypox.
Every doctor who would come into my room had a big old gas mask on and like bubble suits, and it made me feel really like alienated, like, oh my gosh, like what's wrong with me for real?
The 20-year-old tells us she checked herself into an Atlanta hospital about 3 weeks ago after noticing some strange looking bumps on her face.
I even tried putting makeup over it. The makeup didn't do anything. Like the dots were so prominent, like on my face, and I was like, okay, that never happened to me before. I'm trying to hide a pimple, and then that night they turned like blisters almost, and I was like, okay, something's wrong. So I went to the ER.
Seaton is the first woman in Georgia reported to have the disease that until only months ago was rarely seen outside of Central and West Africa. The Marietta resident thinks she contracted monkeypox working at her job as a gas station cashier.
I say I got it from touching dirty money or touching surfaces, just not being mindful of what I'm touching, and then touching my face, and then touching my hands, and then touching my body. And now, because let's be real, like not everybody washes their hands every 15 minutes.
According to the CDC, anyone within close contact of someone with monkeypox can get it. And now more than 7,500 cases in the U.S. and a lack of available vaccines. Many are wondering how to slow the growing problem.
The doctors basically kicked me out of the hospital. Like they said, since there's no cure and it's new to them and there's no treatment, like you feel very alone in this. You feel very alone in this.
And you really hear her talk about the isolation, the alienation. While Camille is healing from monkeypox, she cannot work. She is in isolation. There is a GoFundMe set up for people who would like to help. You can find it on our website, newsnationnow.com. And for more, we are joined by Dr. Anthony Harris. Dr. Harris, always great to see you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Natasha. Good to see you.
Good to see you. I do want to get your reaction after hearing that woman's story. She thinks she got monkeypox from her job as a cashier. How concerned should people be who work in industries where they are in high contact with different items and different people all day?
Sure. Well, as you heard from Anthony Fauci, right, this is something that we need to be cautious of, be aware of, not to be in an alarm state, right? We know that monkeypox is and can be transmitted primarily through skin-to-skin contact with the body fluids from the pustules itself, but it prolongs skin-to-skin or touching, as mentioned, materials that were handled or soiled with body fluids from someone infected with monkeypox. So indeed, this may present, as the cases continue to rise, a possible work-related type of exposure, particularly if you are in an at-risk environment, particularly healthcare environments, as well as hospitality.
Well, we do know there is a monkeypox vaccine shortage. Is the current guidance still that it really is this men who have sex with men population who should get it? And in other words, eventually, do you think that this is a vaccine that all of us might be getting?
Sure. So if we look at the at-risk population, that is who delineates should be getting vaccinated, right? And so the at-risk population currently is, as you mentioned, men who have sex with men, but also individuals that may be at risk for exposure to individuals with monkeypox, right? And so again, I mentioned the healthcare environment in which you're in the front lines handling potentially infected patients. So it's not just limited to only men who have sex with men, but those who are high risk for exposure.
Well, you know, there's a lot of criticism as well about the public health response so far. Perhaps we didn't learn the lessons that we should have from COVID. Perhaps the U.S. should have assembled a task force and increased tests and vaccines as soon as cases in Europe started spiking back in May. Do you agree with that criticism?
You know, I don't, because what we see now and what the secretary has done, what the administration has done, has declared an appropriate emergency. An emergency definition is an illness or a communicable disease that threatens population health, right, the public health. And so it's not, again, at this point in time, an alarm state of panic, so to speak, like we saw early with COVID-19, but we need to be aware, we need to be cautious. And in particular, because of this declaration, we now can get access to funds that are appropriated to the Secretary, to the CDC, the emergency response funds that were allocated back in 2019 can be accessed as well. That's going to speed vaccination development, manufacturing, and distribution.
Well, Dr. Harris, with the time we have left, I do want to pivot to another important health headline today. New York's health department saying that they fear hundreds of people may be infected with polio. What are you tracking with that story?
Sure. So this is a story that came about because of surveillance, which is done in wastewater, right? And we're looking at two communities in New York State that had active polio in the wastewater, and that isolate from that wastewater was identical to one case of paralytic polio, meaning that an individual was paralyzed by active polio infection. And so what we need to be cautious of here is, in particular, those who are at risk for polio being unvaccinated individuals. You know, since the 1950s, 1955 in particular, we've been vaccinating for polio. It's a standard for children by age 24 months. 93% of children in the U.S. are vaccinated against polio. But if you're not, then you're at risk of polio. Polio is here in the U.S. It is in New York, and we need to be cautious of it.
All right, Dr. Harris, thank you so much for your time tonight. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to News Nation.
News Nation is the source. So anyone is susceptible to getting this. I brought you content with this African-American female the other day pertaining to how she could have gotten it. She never said how she got it during that interview with that reporter. And the reporter never asked her. And I was a bit perturbed because I wanted to know, how did she think she got it? The only thing she said during that interview is there are other ways of getting it besides sex. So I assumed she meant she got it in some other way. So the only other way was touching the surface or respiratory droplets. So how did she get it at work? Working as a cashier at a gas station. Another coworker gave it to her. They were sitting by each other for hours. What? Handling dirty money? The surface at the job? The register? Touching the cooler? Putting things up on the shelf? What are we talking about? Because if indeed it's what I think it is, touching surfaces, products, we are doomed. And I'm kind of wondering the dream I had 2 weeks ago, if this is in relation to the dream I had. I woke up 2 weeks ago. Matter of fact, I believe it was 2 weeks ago today. I woke up from a very eerie dream of airplanes falling out of the sky. 2 planes fell And then the ground opened up, and it continued to open up in boulders. And it almost was like boulders were falling out of the sky. And I ran to my old room, which was a room I had at my grandmother's many moons ago. And in this dream, she was alive, but she was in my bed, and I was looking at her like, what are you doing? Don't you see what's going on outside? The world's coming to an end, but I'm looking at her. Crazy. I don't even think I spoke to her, but I thought possibly she knew what was going on because I went and ran in that room so I could hide under the bed. And that's what I last remember about that dream, was standing there looking at her, talking on the phone, hovering under the covers, because perhaps she did know the world was coming to an end. And I told my relative that something bad is on its way from that dream. I didn't know if it was going to be something here in the community, if some people were going to be getting hurt or shot, but I smelt something eerie. And perhaps this is it, the monkeypox, and now the polio. Thank you for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans. I'm going to read you content pertaining to polio. Hit the link if you want to join this discussion. CNBC is the source. Polio found in sewage samples outside New York City suggested spreading in the community, health officials say. This is uploaded August 4th. Key points. Wastewater samples taken from 2 different locations in Orange County during June and July tested positive for the virus, according to the New York State Department of Health. The findings come after an unvaccinated adult in Rockland County contracted polio, suffered paralysis, and had to be hospitalized last month. New York health officials said the Orange County samples are further evidence of possible community spread of the virus. Inside of this article, you will see a colorized cluster of what the polio looks like under a microscope. Polio has been found in wastewater samples taken from 2 counties outside of New York City, indicating the virus is spreading in the community, according to state health officials. Wastewater samples taken from 2 different locations in Orange County during June and July tested positive for the virus, according to the New York State Department of Health. The findings come after an unvaccinated adult in Rockland County contracted polio, suffered paralysis, and had to be hospitalized last month. Polio was subsequently found in Rockland County wastewater samples and also county neighbors Orange County. These environmental findings, which further indicate potential community spread, in addition to paralytic polio case identified among a Rockland County resident, underscore the urgency of every New York adult and child getting immunized against polio, especially those in the greater New York metropolitan area, New York health officials said. The polio strain the adult in the Rockland County caught suggested chain of transmission did not begin in the United States. The strain the individual contracted, please listen carefully to what I'm about to say. The strain the individual contracted is used in the oral polio vaccine, which contains a mild version of the virus that can still replicate. This means people who receive the oral vaccine can spread the virus to others. But the U.S. hasn't used the oral polio vaccine in more than 20 years. The U.S. uses an inactivated polio vaccine that is administered as shot in the leg or arm. The vaccine uses a non-replicating virus strain, which means people who receive the shot cannot infect other people. The polio case in New York is genetically linked to the Rockland County wastewater sample, as well as samples from the greater Jerusalem area in Israel and London in the United Kingdom. Repeat, the polio case of a young man in New York has been linked to Jerusalem area in Israel and London in the United Kingdom. Health authorities in the UK declared a national incident in June after they detected polio in London's sewage samples. New Yorkers should know that this does not imply that the individual case identified in Rockland County, New York, has travel history to Israel or the UK, the New York State Health Department said. No polio cases have originated in the U.S. since 1979, and the nation has been considered polio-free since then, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Polio caused widespread fear in the 1940s before vaccines were available. The virus disabled more than 35,000 people every year during that time, according to the CDC. But a successful vaccination campaign in the 1950s and 1960s dramatically reduced the number of infections. Polio cases are still reported in the U.S., but they are linked to travelers who bring the virus into the country. Repeat, there are polio cases still reported in the U.S., but they are linked to travelers who bring the virus into the country. The case in Rockland County is the first time the U.S. has confirmed an infection since 2013. New York State has last confirmed an infection 1990. Oh, Lordy. That is the latest information. CNBC is the source. So this not monkeypox, but this polio is linked to Jerusalem and the UK. So is this a matter of the person traveled there and brought it back? Or they were around somebody from over there? What are we saying? Thank you all so much for joining me. 54 viewing. This is bad news, all of this, because we're going from one disease to the other. COVID, monkeypox, polio. So if you are not vaccinated, please get a vaccination wherever you live. New York, Florida, it's all the same. You have children, get your children vaccinated. This is what keeps your children safe every year from catching all these type of diseases. Is to be vaccinated. That's why they were invented. Some people do not want to get vaccinated, but this is serious business right now coming out of New York, because this is how it starts. There always has to be a number one person. So now you have your one person. There's also a China lockdown. I'm going to give you a brief info on that. BBC is the source. This was uploaded 8 hours ago. On Saturday, after 263 positive cases were confirmed in Sanya, authorities canceled all flights and trains out of the city. On Monday, the lockdown was extended to cover several cities after 504 cases were recorded on the island. The provincial capital, Haikou, with a population of nearly 3 million, has been locked down, and about 7 million people have been told not to leave home except for food. COVID tests, state media said. Smaller towns, I think it's called Wazushan, Ladong, and Qingmei, are also locked down. Travelers must now present 5 negative PCR tests over 7 days before they can leave if they are able to book a flight out. About 80,000 tourists have been stranded in Sanya, according to the city's deputy mayor. The vast majority are Chinese, including numerous people from Shanghai. Mr. Newton from the UK says he had to queue for about 2 hours every morning to get a COVID test, which means he's been forced to cancel work meetings. The situation is obviously disappointing, he said, especially for those from Shanghai who had already suffered extended restrictions there. Everyone else who also came from Shanghai are all in pretty low spirits, he told the BBC. While those whose flights canceled Saturday were reportedly offered free hotel rooms, Mr. Newton said the hotel only offered him a 50% discount on the room rate for extending his stay due to the lockdown. I'm okay, but there's a lot of families here who haven't been told what happens after they can't afford it anymore, and why the hotel won't also give them the same offer as the new guests, he said. Mr. Newton said that the information was scarce for foreigners unable to read Chinese, and he is not completely sure whether guests are allowed to leave the hotel. It's the case of having to join WeChat groups full of other stranded foreigners, all trying to piece information together, he said, referring to the popular Chinese app, which combines messaging, payments, social media. If there is official information, it hasn't been relayed to foreigners by anyone. This is Mr. Kyle Newton, who's quarantined in a hotel in Sanya. This is bad news, once again, to hear of a district in China under quarantine. Because naturally those people got to fly out of there and go somewhere else. And God forbid, when they're able to fly out, you have hope they're well. Or we'll be back again hearing more COVID cases over here, over there in UK, then once again, United States. So what's going to happen to the people who can't afford the hotel? Can't stay there? Where are they going to stay? Will there be other affordable places for them to stay? They can't leave this island. This is crazy to me. Sanya is known as China's Hawaii. It's a popular tourist destination. BBC News is the source. It is a China resort that is on lockdown. Thank you all so much for joining me. What about the families that don't get the children vaccinated? Didn't the child get the measles because they weren't vaccinated? Well, that's the whole point. That's the whole purpose of the vaccinations, is so you can stay safe and not get any of these diseases, chickenpox, measles. But you can't tell people what to do with their children. You can't tell people what to do with themselves. Many people just don't want to get vaccinated for whatever reason, for their own ideologies, religions, and conspiracy theories. But see, what they don't seem to understand is that the rest of us turned out fine. Kind of like Enfamil. Many people drank Enfamil, Similac growing up, and they turned out fine. But then you've got that rare breed that says, no, I don't want my baby drinking this for whatever, whatever. To each its own. But don't cry later when your child is sick or when you're sick, when all you had to do was get the shot and keep it moving. I don't know what's going to be next. Well, monkeypox to me is dangerous because if you can catch it by touching surfaces, then that's worse than COVID. Because you're going to be down at least a month. Can you afford to take off from work a month? Will you even have a job after a month? So you all have to think about that. No matter how you can catch it, through surfaces, respiratory droplets, sex, skin to skin, trying on clothes, sitting on bedding, it's principle. How are you going to maintain for a month without working? If you have children, who's going to take care of your children? How are you going to keep your children from contracting the monkeypox if you get it? And if it is transferable to the body by touching items, we are doomed, because that would be worse than COVID. Because we still were able to go out when COVID was around, and many people still didn't catch COVID from going outside. With this monkeypox, if it's true that girl caught it by touching dirty money or surfaces at her job, all hell is going to break loose, because you're going to have to touch things. That means you're going to have to wear gloves while leaving the house. You're going to have to work wearing gloves. You're going to have to come home, pull the gloves out from the inside out, and or keep them on and wash down everything you bring back in the house, such as your food, soda pop bottles, this and that, detergent, whatever you're buying. I don't think you all are grasping the severity of this if this is true. Hit the link if you have something you'd like to say pertaining to monkeypox. Is this God's wrath? Why homosexual men contract the disease first? What is going to become of our country if indeed this is transferred by touching items, contaminated surfaces? We are doomed. I don't care what anybody says, because you've got to touch stuff. And I can't see wiping down everything you bring in your house from the store. Every soap bottle, every Coke can. Just saying. 12-pack can of soda pop. You're going to wipe down the box. You're going to wipe down every damn can in the... It's just crazy to me. Woo, Lord. We know that it's affecting others. You all are not listening to the chat, to the information. Anybody can catch monkeypox. We already know this. The point is, why was it prevalent in homosexual men? That's my question. Well, some people have not had their children vaccinated. So I guess it's between the parent and the school district, if they allow your child to come to school without vaccinated records. Probably not. Most jurisdictions want the children vaccinated. One hour in. That's the said information. I brought you a source, for all the said information. All the audio has been played during this live is on my community board. All this is time consuming, but it just goes to show you we have nasty viruses crawling around that we didn't know about. And now you have to be careful with touching anything, old, new, borrowed. Whether you're buying it from a thrift store or you're buying it brand new from the store, doesn't matter. You don't know what's out here. This is just bad. Really, really bad. Join the panel if you have something you'd like to say pertaining to monkeypox, how you think this is going to affect our country, people's relationships, having sex with people, touching people, kissing people. It's very dangerous out here now. Some may not believe that God is showing he's not happy with us. You're entitled to your opinion. But something's wrong. I don't care how people look at it. There's something very wrong here. Because it's too many things all at one time. And God forbid polio jumps off. Mercy. To be walking around healthy one day and paralyzed the next. So if you have children, please make sure they get their vaccinations. Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you for joining. It's bad. Really, really bad. I don't know what to say. $58 viewing. Anyone has anything they'd like to say to the Queen or to the chat, please join us. Kind of quiet down there. Thank you, Ms. Davis. As I said, is this God's wrath for gay men, humanity? He's displeased with us. All right, Terry. Good Lord. Terry doesn't plan to get any shot. Why not? Hit the link. Tell us why. So you're saying if you were offered the monkeypox vaccination, you wouldn't take it. Why not? Well, Terry, you don't stay to yourself because you keep children. Don't you keep your grandchildren? Don't your daughters come around? Well, they go around people. Children go around other people. That's what people don't seem to understand. When you all say, I don't go anywhere, I don't do anything. Well, the people you let in your house, they go places. They go around other people. There's no such thing as nobody goes around anybody. It's unheard of. Somebody is always going around somebody. Somebody has somebody staying in their house. So even if you don't go anywhere, if you let your grandchildren come over, well, they go places, they touch things. We already know children are not very hygienic. They touch surfaces, they touch stuff. They touch their nose, their butt, come on now. Since the ban's been lifted, people are active now. More active. Hello, dear.
Hello, Miss Angie. How are you?
I'm good. What you been doing, honey?
Honey, look, I only got one grandchild I take care of, and he's bad as I don't know what, and he's 9 months old.
Okay.
But other than that, I just stay to myself, Miss Angie. Seriously.
For a whole year, you sat in that house, done nothing.
Oh yeah, no. The only time I go out is to pay my bills if I don't do it online, or go to the grocery store to get my stuff that I need. Other than that, I mean, look, Miss Angie, honey, look, I done told you sometime last year, honey, you know Terry's a cougar, but I ain't been able to be no cougar because I ain't got time. That's right.
Let's go here. Let's go here.
Okay.
If that girl in Atlanta caught that monkeypox from her job, we are doomed. Because let's say somebody was contaminated, touched the money, touched the surface, she touched a potato chip bag, whatever. You got to go somewhere and buy something. So that means you're going to have to what? Wear gloves everywhere you go and wipe down everything you buy and purchase and bring back to your house.
Exactly. And guess what, Miss Angie? That's exactly what I do. Ever since I heard the first case of monkeypox, I said, oh, hell no. So I got like 5 boxes of rubber gloves that I put on when I change the kids' diapers anyway.
Oh, wow.
And honey, I put some on when I get in a cab or when I get in somebody's car, go get my groceries or whatever. As soon as I get out, honey, I come in my house, trash cans right there. Put them right inside the trash can in the bag. I don't have time. And then I disinfect my hands, you know, with the hand sanitizer. Yeah, that's me. And Miss Angie, I haven't been sick. I'm telling you, not even with a head cold in 4 years.
Good. Well, you're doing good. But I'm just saying, whether it's respiratory droplets, that's still bad, and touching items. Let's say nobody decides to engage in sex with whomever. You still got to shop. You still got to go outside. You still got to touch things. Then you have to worry about the people that's touching your food, your plates, your silverware. See, those are the little things that nobody realizes if indeed you can get it from touching surfaces. We would be doomed if that's how you also can get it.
Yes, you're right. You're absolutely right, Miss Angie. And honey, look, this is the way it is. That's why I tell people, read your Bibles. All this stuff that's going on now is in the Bible, in the times, all of it. And guess what?
What do you believe is God's wrath?
We're not. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And guess what, Miss Angie? We're not getting rid of these diseases. The COVID. I told people 2 years ago, get ready to live with it because
I don't think it's
ain't
going to
going nowhere.
Yeah,
Hell no. And now we got polio. Come on now. And monkeypox. Did you see how fast that multiplied? And when I heard that it was only by gay men, I said, that is a lie. Next thing I knew, oh, we got a case of a child that got it. Oh, now it's a woman in Chicago somewhere.
Well, you're gonna get it, but see, that's the whole point. If they don't really know how the other ways you can get it, then that's where the problem is going to be. That's where the problem is going to be. If you don't know for sure that I can touch something or can't touch something. So just like one of the person said in the commentary, if a person is infected and you're touching their items, then you can get it. Well, now kind of like saying if you're asymptomatic and you're running around in a store, touching things at your job, you don't show any symptoms, well, then that's how other people can get it. If indeed it's transmitted that way through services. But she just said, if the person's infected and they're touching items, then you can get it. You're going around them, touching their toothbrush, their refrigerator doors, or whatever you're touching that belongs to them.
Exactly. And you're right, Miss Angie. You're right. Because I tell you, it is so important for people to realize once you go outside your house, there you are.
Yeah,
you're exposed. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. And it's sad because do you actually think companies where people work, that they're disinfecting every little thing?
Well, we know that.
No. So you got to be a responsible person. I'm telling you, it's sad, but honey, I'm trying to tell you, it's in the Bible. And the next thing that's coming, Miss Angie, famine. We're going to be, they talking about how high food is now.
Mhm.
Watch. We're going to have a food shortage next. Watch.
Okay.
It's all in the Bible.
Okay.
And so that's why, Miss Angie, honey, look, I say to myself, yes, I may hear from Sean twice a year on via text, whatever, Facebook. Other than that, I stay to myself,
So you're
watch
not
my
gonna.
one
So listen,
grandchild.
Terry. So you're not gonna try to date.
No, I don't want to date.
Well, what if this wasn't going on? Would you consider dating?
No, because I'm going to tell you why, Miss Angie. Because the men that I've had in my life, no more than 4, they've all been crazy as hell. And I don't have time to be waiting hand and foot on no man that wants you to cook dinner.
Oh, yeah, I know about that. Yeah,
You know, want to check yourself,
Unappreciative.
honey, yes, and unappreciative. Wants you to be home and slave. Ain't nobody got time. And see, my house is always clean. I don't have time. But
Well,
I
what is
told
it about?
always.
Go ahead.
Well, Miss Angie, I always told my kids, you know, whether they were young or whether they grew up, I'm not marriage material. I thought I was back in the day,
Yeah.
but now, Miss Angie, October the 7th, I will be 60 years old.
Okay.
I can't believe it myself.
Okay.
But I don't date nobody. And nowadays, can you blame? I mean, we don't know who we dealing with now.
Yeah, I know that.
And then, oh my God, then you got to deal with someone with the baby mama. But you know, see, that's the cougar lane where you got to deal with the young guys and their men.
Well,
I mean, the kids. Honey,
Terry.
you know.
Well, how do you feel about now polio is in the wastewaters in New York? They found it in Rockland and Orange County.
Oh my gosh. Why is New York always the epic center of everything?
Because they have a lot of foot traffic in the state of New York, and that island is small, but it houses a lot of people, and it has a lot of foreigners that come through there, and a lot of people travel out of JFK to other destinations around the world and the United States. That's why they had COVID really bad, because a lot of people travel there.
Well, they said they're the leading state in monkeypox and everything. That's crazy, though. But then they say monkeypox really originates from rodents, rats. You know, everybody knows
that and a prairie dog. They said rat, a prairie dog came in contact with a human. That's it. So
that is horrible, though, Miss Angie. That's horrible. And see, they said the first monkeypox, because I heard it on the news. The first monkeypox diagnosis came from a white man. And it wasn't it was, I don't know whether it was UK or somewhere, but it wasn't in the United States. Portugal. And all of a sudden it came over here.
Was it Portugal? Somewhere.
Yeah. There you go. That's what it was. Miss Angie. Yes.
Okay.
But it's just, I mean, now we're talking about how people are going to live right. I mean, then you got your children. I'm so glad my kids are raised and grown, because, honey, I don't know what I would do, Miss Angie, in this day and time, raising my own children with all this mess that's going on. And that you heard what Biden said, state of an emergency. Yeah. Monkeypox. They didn't think it was going to spread the way it spread. Now look. 7,000 some cases. It's going to get bigger. That's horrible. And schools get ready to start. Oh, why was it up on the news that they were going to lessen the stuff where kids they don't have to distance themselves in classrooms. They ain't got to wear no mask. Oh my gosh, I would be livid right now if I had to raise my kids, because, honey, they would be homeschooled. I'm sorry. It's too much. And then I have 5 grandboys. It's only one that's in school. The other 4 are little ones. But still, it's scary. But just like I tell my kids, read your Bible. It's in there. All this stuff that's going on, that's God's wrath. That monkeypox disease, I'm telling you, Miss Angie, that's God's wrath for gay with the gay and all this crap. And now you see. I mean, I'm not against gay people because I'm not going to judge. Only God can do that. But I'm telling you, that's God's wrath. People
Okay.
not listening and want to do what they want to do. There you go. I'm telling you. It's only going to get worse. Nothing's going to get better.
I just think it's just so sad to every time you turn around. I mean, it's something new. I was listening earlier to information, and they were talking about that H1N1, and I had to jog my memory back to that. And I thought, yeah, I remember when we had the H1N1. It's just nonstop. It's just so sickening. Always something.
It's terrible. And I mean, we're not done. I mean, we never got rid of COVID. People thought COVID was going to go away. How's that going to go away? They said we got 19 strains of COVID. They said this third COVID.
But that's what you got to remember. But that's what you got to remember about any virus. There's going to be a different strain, such as the person that got it in Massachusetts with the monkeypox. That strain came from Canada. So there's always a different strain of HIV, COVID. The same strain that the person has beside you, it's not going to be the same strain as the person to the left. You understand what I mean? They're going to be different strains, and that's how they're able to track where it came from. They're very They are crafty in their work when they go into that bloodline and trying to figure out where a virus came from.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's sad. It's really sad, Miss Ann. I mean, you know, I've never seen a world like this before in my almost 60 years. Never in my whole life. And you haven't either. I mean, we never thought about stuff like this growing up. We got our shots. We were done. Pow, pow. But now, look. Now what? So now they done got the monkeypox jab for you. So what? They're going to get ready to put out another polio jab? I mean, it's just, honey, it's mind-boggling.
Well, let's talk about if it becomes an epidemic, pandemic, monkeypox. People start getting it in various ways.
Yes.
The downtime is a month. That's a long time to not be working.
Yes, it is. That girl that got monkeypox, yeah.
And then you imagine having children. She had a child.
Yeah.
She sent her daughter off with family. So now you have to count the people who don't have anybody to keep their kids. Let's say you get the monkeypox. Now you can't, one, keep your kids. Two, you're going to be out of work. Then you'll be facing eviction 1 month without working.
Yep.
Unless you have savings.
Yep. And that's the truth.
Do you think it will get bad with monkeypox such as COVID and there'll be like a repeat of 2020?
Yes, Miss Angie, I sure do. Because guess what? People don't want to look at it, but guess what? They're going to shut everything down again. Watch. That's what I feel, Miss Angie.
That would be really, really bad if we get.
And it would, yes. It was horrible, you know, shut down, and you know, you can't go nowhere and can't do nothing. But guess what, Miss Angie? Check out all these movie stars and celebrities that still look. I ain't gonna lie to you, Miss Angie. Honey, I love me some Chris Breezy, honey. I love that man to death. He calls me his second mom. I go to every concert on this side of the world. Well, guess what? He was just in Washington, D.C., where I could have traveled from Maryland right up there like I used to do. Honey, I didn't go because you know why? The seats are boom, 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 close right up. Nobody in the audience is wearing masks. And then boom, and guess what else, Miss Andrew? You know what I asked when I called up to get a ticket? I said, do y'all ask for a paper that says whether y'all been vaccinated or not? She said, no, we don't do that. See, all about the money.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to go to no camp concert and all that floating COVID and monkeypox. You don't know who you're around.
Well, let's talk about this hookah lounges and people passing the blunt. Now with the monkeypox, if it's true that it can be passed by saliva and kissing, you've been sucking on somebody's cup, you've been sucking on somebody's blunt, you've been sucking on a hookah thing, vapes, passing vapes. This is going to be serious, and I don't think people really are realizing how serious it can get.
And they don't, Miss Angie, because I'm telling you, look, It's a difference between when me and your generation were coming up than it is with the younger generation.
Mm-hmm.
And see, I can say that because my twins, my boy and girl, they just turned 27 at the end of June. Okay, so their generation and a generation before them, all they know how to do is smoke blunts, go out, cock up at the club, suck beer and drinks behind each other, and don't realize what they're doing to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only going to get worse because see what it is, Miss Angie, they think they are untouchable.
Yeah, I get that
Okay.
attitude from a lot of young people. Yeah. And
Yes.
everything's geared toward young people as far as electronics,
Yes.
clothing, functions. Everything is geared for people in their 20s, 30s. It's just the way it is.
Exactly. And you are absolutely right, Miss Angie. I'm telling you, this world is so wicked. And I'm surprised Jesus haven't come back yet. But you know what? It says in the Bible, they're gonna wait until God's gonna wait. He's gonna come like a thief in the night. So nobody's gonna know when he comes until they see that fire coming up from the ground. But see, a lot of people, Miss Angie, they don't believe in that stuff, especially the younger generation. They don't believe in that stuff, Miss Angie. Carjackings and all kinds. 13 years old people, 12-year-olds with guns. And it just makes me wonder, how worse is it going to get? It's just horrible. Out here living, it's horrible. That's why, Miss Angie, I stay to myself. And how about my grocery store is 2 blocks over, where I pay my bills online? I can do it right on my phone or on my computer. And other than that, I'm in my damn house. I don't go nowhere. Other than, honey, that's it. I can't, Miss Angie, I can't do it. And they say it's worse on people that's over 50. Well, I'm getting ready to turn 60. I ain't been sick in 4 years. I ain't got time to be sick.
You talking about the COVID?
Yeah, the COVID.
That's what was told in the beginning, but in the end, all people got sick from COVID.
Oh yeah, but I never got sick from it.
Well, you were fortunate, Terry.
That's because I believe in what I believe. Miss Angie, look, let me tell you and chat this. I have an uncle. I love him dearly, Uncle Mike. He is a Jehovah Witness. Do you know? He called me up. He was harassing me and writing letters. Terry, how come you ain't got the jab yet? Sending me a picture of his card where he done got vaccinated and all this. I said, let me tell you something. I said, so, a lot that people don't realize. I said, let me tell you something, Uncle Mike. Don't tell me about not getting no jab and that, because you and Ty, which is my brother,
you a mess.
You and Ty's mom passed away when you were 9 years old, Terry. Yeah, I ain't forgot. How would I forget that? He said, so if something happens to you, grandma would just die. So I just said to myself, let me tell you something, Uncle Mike. And this is what I wrote him. I said, Uncle Mike, you can go out here and get any jab. That's what I call the shot.
I'm there. Yes.
Or any boosters. I said, but let me tell you something. When we're born, we got a birth date. When we die, we don't know our death date. The only one that knows our death date is the good Lord. And guess what I told him? You can go out here and get whatever jab or vaccination for anything you want. But guess what? Suppose that same day that you go get your vaccinations, God calls you home. Do you actually think that jab is going to save you from not coming home? I think not.
Mm-hmm.
After I told
but
him
you don't think it can preserve your life in case you didn't die on that day. How about that, girl?
Well, that's true too, but it could be a couple of weeks. It might be a month later. But
Well,
what
I
I
think
can
like
hear,
that. But listen, you're thinking negatively. You're thinking negatively as far as dying. Why even think about dying anyway, with or without the vaccination or the booster? How about just
because
focusing on living? No, listen. How about focusing on living, and then when your number's called on that day, the 5th day, the 12th, boom, then it is what it is.
yeah, but I'm seriously, the only thing I'm negative about, Miss Angie, is getting all these shots and the boosters. I mean, a lot of people's against me, but I don't care. Because I told myself, I say to myself, I keep everything Lysol, bleached everything down in my house, doorknobs and all. And I don't fool with people. They don't come up in my crib. And yeah, I only got one grandchild that comes up in here. My kids, they call me on my phone, the other ones. One just got married, honey, and she way in Florida. But whatever, honey, that's a different story for another day. And yes, I did hear from Sean 2 days ago. But, honey, I'm telling you, I don't want the jab and I'm not getting it.
Okay, that's cool.
I just feel that way. And okay, the pandemic been going on for 2 years. I ain't been sick in 4 years. So I'm not dealing with no man coming up in here rubbing all up on me like I would like, but I'm not going to dab it because I don't want all this stuff coming. You know, honey, you know me, Miss Angie. I chose to choose.
Yeah, you're putting on right now. Jeepers creepers.
You know, Miss Angie, what I got, honey, in my cup.
Well, you know, it's going to be lonely for a lot of people. They're going to be afraid.
I'm going to be lonely.
It's going to be, listen, a lot of people are going to be afraid now, even though everybody was taking chances out here slumbering with folks any damn way, but still, we're all human. This just makes it worse now. One more thing to add to the list of stuff to catch.
Yes.
One way or the other. Condom, no condom. Touching, spitting in people's faces, touching money, touching the desk, touching the detergent bottle, whatever. It's all messed up. It's all messed up.
And it is, Miss Angie. And see, if you don't be, because you see, that's why I love your show and your commentary and everything. Because Miss Angie, you be spitting nothing but facts. I'm telling you, you know your crap. You be spitting facts, Miss Angie. You be letting us know the deal. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So if you want to be stupid, people ain't gotta listen. But I look, I may not be here all the time, but honey, I listen to you sometime, Miss Angie, and I don't even reply, but I still clicks on that button and put the thumbs up. Yeah.
Well, I love you too, honey. I just try to bring whatever, is the latest information pertaining to any subject matter. And I just hope that people will take heed to whatever the information is, be it by the doctor, the scientist, the CDC, whatever it is, because we're all human. We're all one race. We all have to live here together. Yeah. And, I don't wish any bad, on people. Unless, hey, you're out here doing some foolishness you ain't got no business, and that's on you, whatever comes your way. But this, to me, is detrimental. To me, it's no different than COVID, HIV. It's all the same. It's just an easy way to get yourself sick and in that hospital bed. That's how I look at it. Because as they said, it's rarely fatal, this monkeypox. But who's to say that you're already sick and then you get this? This may compound what's already wrong with you. Thank you, Tennessee Rose. This may compound what's already wrong with you. So, when you're already ill, you've got a few illnesses. You can't afford to get no sores around your mouth and fatigue and flu-like symptoms and quarantine down for a whole month. Who's to say what this 4-week end could do to your body when you're already jacked up?
Yes. And that's the truth, Miss Angie. I'm trying to tell you, that's the truth. And you just don't know. But you know what pisses me off, Angie? When I walk around and I go to the daggone grocery store or to go pay my bills, people walking around, woo, la-di-da, no mask.
Yeah, well, I don't wear mine anymore.
Now, I wear mine, Miss Angie. I'm sorry. I
thought about rejoining the mask population with this monkey paw.
Yeah.
This monkey paw that sound, I say, what in the world? What in the hell is going on? This monkey paw prairie dog virus. I said, I'm 51 trying to get a husband. How the hell am I going to get a husband if I can't kiss? That's going to be my next live. How is this going to affect relationships? Because I think this is very prevalent due to the fact that you can get it from kissing. This is going to be bad for those that still want to date, whether you're 20 or you're 50. You still want to touch a man, you want to touch a woman, you want to kiss. What about those people that's still out there sleeping around, slumbering around? We can really get deep with it now. Those that still putting their, particles in other particles. And then you come home and you look up at your boyfriend or your husband and you look like, what's that around your mouth? Oh, I don't know what that is. The next thing you know, you got clusters of stuff. Oh, it's about to be some smoke in the city.
Yes, honey,
and you all aren't thinking about that. Somebody brings home monkeypox to their lover. The next thing you know, you got folks fighting, turn up a house, you got a dead man laying in the floor.
There you go. That's right.
It's way deeper than just, okay, it's the gay men, whoever. In the end, as they said, the stigma of having it. You don't have any, you don't know if you're going to even maybe go back to your job. Maybe your job don't want you to come back either once they find out you got the monkey paw. Oh, yeah. Susie's got the monkey paw. Well, we've got to find a replacement for her. So then she heals up. She thinks she's calling in to tell them, well, I'm feeling better and I've got a doctor's statement saying I can come back. Oh, I'm sorry, Susie. We gave your job away back.
Exactly. And that's what's going to happen, Miss Angie. I'm telling you, that's what's getting ready to go down because they done got 7,000 some cases. Within 2 weeks? What? Can you imagine?
It's longer. It's going to be longer than 2 weeks. I'm sure it's going to be longer than 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh. I just couldn't believe it because Miss Angie, I'm an avid listener of the new ABC and CBS News. I watch it every day, every morning, every night. And my gosh, when I saw these cases of monkeypox, I figured, it ain't going to be that bad. It was like 178 cases then.
Yeah.
Oh, look at the TV.
That's what I told everybody. 170 last month. 170 cases last month to 7,500 a month later. That's a lot.
Yes, that's too many. I just can't get over it, Miss Angie. I'm telling you. I mean, what are these people? I just don't understand. So guess what? In other words, Miss Angie, when we go out in public, like at the park and anywhere, you better wipe your hands or have gloves on to sit down at a park bench or touch anything. Because this whole world is poisoned. People's hands are nasty.
The whole point is that people are nasty anyway. So we shouldn't really be shocked that there were all these diseases floating around anyway because people are nasty. This is why people get sick when they go out to eat because people are not washing their hands, cross-contamination of foods, leaving food out. Animals running around the house while you're cooking. You got your damn cat running across the counter. Y'all know that's nasty. I'll call you out because I'm going to say it. Your dog all up under you, you're cooking, you're touching him, and you go back to the stove, touch your damn toast. All that's filthy. And a lot of people don't want to accept that. But it's nasty.
It's the truth, Miss Angie.
Taking germs, passing them around. Then you got to count those that are really nasty. They don't keep a clean house. And what I tell people, they go out here, they make your hamburger, your steak, your French fries. They're handling your clothes at the cleaners. They're standing at the desk handling your parcels and things, and they don't cut their fingernails, their nasty fingernails, all that. Sitting there putting your salad together, cutting up your tomatoes. You have to think about all that. That is why we're sick.
Exactly.
Contamination.
Exactly. And that's the truth, Miss Angie. And guess what? It's all over the whole world. And that's exactly why we got what we got.
Yeah.
And it makes no sense to me because all people got to do is do what they're supposed to do. But they're not going to do it.
Well, when you think about how people live in third world countries, we can't get mad at how those people live because they're not afforded the opportunity to live in clean environments, okay?
Right.
So if you're living somewhere where you're around wild animals, rats, rodents, prairie dogs, you're sleeping with chickens underneath your bed because that's all you can afford to live in a place where you house the same damn chickens, that is how you get sick. Now that person gets sick from that chicken, which that's happened. Then that person goes out to work, traveled on a bus a few years ago, and that's how the disease spread while they're riding on the bus. People started getting sick from the one person who slept in a room with chickens.
Yep, that's right.
Because like I tell people,
right.
you have to admit it's strange that in a country where homosexuality is taboo, such as Africa, you have to admit it's strange that the first cases show up in homosexual men. And in that country, one, they don't have adequate health care, clinics, doctors, hospitals, versus you ain't supposed to be sleeping with no damn man. So how the hell did a man get it to give to another man?
Exactly. Exactly. That's what I'm saying, honey. It's terrible. I'll tell you, Miss Angie, I really don't know. I mean, what this world is coming to, all I know is we're in our last days. Because there's too many things going on with these different diseases and stuff.
Well, since we're in our last days, then Terry, then you ought to be wanting to get your ass up out that damn house and go do something. Then, excuse me. You gonna sit there till the earth cave in, and then you gonna Jesus come around the corner saying, "Come on, Terry."
Yup. That's right, honey.
Okay.
That's right. If I gotta go with the Lord. And honey, boom. I ain't got time. Honey, I love my little country house that I moved into 2 years ago. Think I don't like cocked up in here? And I'm at peace and I'm happy. I'm in my playroom right now where my grandchild comes. But honey, look, I'm at peace. Yeah. Drinking my Mad Dog.
Oh
I ain't thinking about nobody out there.
You still on that Mad Dog?
Honey, look, Miss Angie, you know I don't play.
Look, what you should do, because the way these young people drink that Douce, you need to take some of that Mad Dog and that Douce and throw on that damn monkeypox sores. That ought to burn it off. Burn it right all the way off. You got a cure for the monkeypox. Y'all got a cure for that monkeypox. Yes, we got a cure for the monkeypox. Some Douce and some Mad Dog. Pour it in a cup and mix it and pour it on your lips.
You are too funny, Miss Angie.
Wow. Dang. Girl,
look, this is the life we're living. This is the life we live in, Miss Angie.
The liquor, I've tasted some liquor and moonshine. The moonshine I've had the past couple of weeks, that ought to cure any monkeypox.
Yeah, that's right. Honey, Miss Angie, what you doing drinking moonshine, baby?
You know this the dirty South. You know we drink moonshine down, chump. I'm telling you, I've had maybe 2 or 3 different sips of moonshine from different people, and I'm telling you that moonshine, child, your eyebrows burn off. Do you hear me? It burn going down your throat. I say, well, if you got a monkeypox sore in your mouth, it'll show clear right on up.
Oh my gosh.
that might be what they need to put in them damn vials of some of this Kentucky moonshine.
Yes, honey.
Put that in there.
That's right, Miss Angie. Honey, ain't that something? Daddy, you are too funny. Oh my God, you're too funny. You are crazy. I just love you, Miss Angie.
Yes, honey, you got this is serious.
And it is.
Because I'm gonna go to the store. I'm gonna go to the store after this live. I'm only gonna get a few items, and I'm gonna go on, and I got my plastic gloves already in the car. I'm gonna go on and put them on and get my goodies, and then I'm gonna slide them little mustard gloves off when I get back here to the plantation.
That's what you got to do, Miss Angie. Look, I'm gonna get ready to let you go.
Okay,
I'm so
thank
happy
you for joining
to talk to you again. Yes, I love you, Miss Angie. You take care and stay blessed, all baby. I'll be back again.
Well, please do, honey.
Honey, you know I will, Miss Angie. You know how we do.
You know you put on when you get up here. Oh, we damn.
Honey, I have to.
You know you shows out.
Honey, I learned from the best, Miss Angie.
Yes, you did. Shut your mouth.
Well, you take care. I love you, Miss Angie.
You too,
stay blessed.
All right, baby. Be safe up there on the East Coast. Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, everybody. That's Miss Terry calling from the East Coast. Ooh, Lord have mercy. Help us. What is going to become of us with this monkeypox? We have polio in wastewaters in New York. One young man has been diagnosed with polio. They say the wastewater samples are paralyzing, what they have found in the wastewater. It's very serious. Disconnect, Terry. Hold on. don't know what Terry's doing. She's up there. Yeah, Terry have you laughing. I think Terry don't know how to disconnect. Oh, Lord have mercy. We're going to pray for anybody that contracts polio and this monkeypox. Like I said before, all people can get this monkeypox. Let me make that clear during this live. You can get it through contaminated clothing worn by a person infected. You can get it sexually. You can get it from skin-to-skin contact, prolonged conversations, respiratory droplets. That means the person is talking in your face and basically spitting out saliva talking to you. Long-winded and close proximity. The young lady in Atlanta, Georgia, at Marietta, Georgia, says she got it, she thinks, from her job. So it's up to you to decide if you believe what she said and what the stats are going to show us as far as where else we can contract this monkeypox. If indeed it's true that we can contract it through things, we are doomed. I don't care what anybody says. Because one woman mentioned that in the commentary, if you put your hands on things that the monkeypox infected person has touched. So that's no different than going out to the store then, be it at their house or in the store. So what's the difference? You won't be able to do anything. You won't be able to touch anything without a glove on. And then you still got to be careful in pulling off the gloves. Sticking your finger on the inside, but yet you're still putting your hand inside the glove with the contaminated glove to pull it from the inside. This is just BS. Absolutely BS. Like I said, you're entitled to believe what you want pertaining to all these diseases. You're entitled to get vaccinated, get a booster, not. You don't want your children vaccinated, your children vaccinated. That is your prerogative. But many of us have been vaccinated for many years, still get our vaccinations, and we're good. So that should tell you something, that they do work. I'm an adult. I don't want chicken pox. I don't want shingles. See, everything spins from something. That's what shingles is from. Chicken pox. Now we have this monkeypox, monkey paw, monkey flu. Although it's curable, but can you still be a carrier even after being healed? I don't have that information yet, because I'd like to know that if a person contracts the monkeypox, he or she wounds heal from the monkeypox, can he or she still pass it to somebody else? But if they say it's cured, then obviously you can't pass it. I don't know. I don't want to quote something I do not know. I want to thank you all for joining me during this live. I will be bringing you more commentary and breaking news. I have a Crime Vault video lined up for you guys. I will possibly bring it later or tomorrow. It is a very baffling and disturbing story out of the West Pacific Northwest about a very dirty vow doctor. And I'll leave it at that. I don't want to spoil the surprise of that live. Thank you all so much for joining me and Miss Terry, following the content. Like, share, subscribe. And once again, thank you for the super chats and donations. And if you'd like to donate to this great network, $sign Big Angie 129 Cash App. All stickers are welcome during my lives. I will bring more commentary pertaining to monkeypox as they bring us the information. All audio has a source. Please go to my community board for the said audios, or go back to the beginning of this video where I bring you the source. I may do another live this week pertaining to the pitfalls of this monkeypox, because if indeed you can catch it by touching items, how is that going to work going out into the workforce and places to shop, have fun, dining, extracurricular activities, sport events? Are you going to wear gloves? Go back to wearing masks, because people do sit close to each other during games, football games, soccer games, things like that, baseball games. How's that going to work? Somebody becomes infected. They're sitting next to you, talking, slobbering, boom. See, you're going to sit with somebody at some point unless you don't hang around people a lot. And some people are very family-friendly oriented, so they're around people a lot. Functions, work, extracurricular activities, sporting events. This will be, as I said, hell on wheels. And the thought of everybody running around with sores on their mouth, body, hands, feet, arms, torso, genital areas, man, come on. This is bad. Thank you, Skylar. Thank you so much, sweetheart. You all have a wonderful week. God bless all of you. I'll be back later this week with more commentary. Thank you, my visitors, new subscribers. Please go to my community board for updates on other stories. As I told you earlier during this live, Anne Hesh, an American actress, was injured in a car wreck out in California. It is believed that she was possibly inebriated with alcohol. The car caught on fire. She first hit someone's garage, left the scene, hit and run, and then she slammed her car into somebody's house, speeding down the street. Anne Hesh knew better and knows better. Was she drunk? We will find out. Take a couple weeks to get the results back from her blood withdrawal, but a warrant was put out to withdraw her blood. They do not know at what time the officials withdrew the blood, but it's going to be sad for her if indeed she has a legal alcohol limit, because a woman has now lost her home because the house caught on fire. And some people are not happy that all the talk is about Anne instead of the lady whose house caught on fire. And I agree. And Alec Baldwin has been wishing her well, and a lot of people are coming down on him. I guess, why are you wishing her well when she was possibly inebriated and caused this crash that caught a woman's house on fire in her own damn car and got her own self burned up in her own car? It's very interesting information. Please go to my community board. I have a video pertaining to that storyline, Anne Hesh. And I also brought you information pertaining to Ahmaud Arbery. One of the suspects that killed him has now received another life sentence. You all have a good week. Thank you for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans. Please be safe.